I will entertain a motion to approve minutes from January 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. And we have a couple of new public hearings. First up, we have 44 South Main Street.
Yes, sir.
And this is for a notice of resource area delineation for a location at 44 South Main Street, which has bordering vegetative wetland and is also in the bordering land subject to flooding. So we're open, and you have,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, would you like to proceed?
you can give back to John.
Looks like Bunsies.
Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Better known as Bunsies.
Hi, good evening. My name is Walter Hermano, registered engineer. Tonight, we have before you 44 South Main Street. I'm representing my client, JM Camara Equipment. Jordan Camara is in the audience. If there's any questions that need to be asked of the applicant, he'd be glad to answer that. We have here, nice site, right downtown, a little bit southwest of the town center. It's an 18.5 plus or minus acre site. Former Bunsies golf and go-kart also, do you recall go-karts?
I don't. Bunsies was the thing I remember.
I recall riding some go-karts on this property, but that was the last known use of this property.
Yep.
Former pitching putt golf course and also a little bit of a go-karts down in the bottom right over there. The site's slightly overgrown right now, but for the purposes of tonight, we've had the site surveyed and the wetlands delineated, Wetlands Resources delineated, identified. We have Mark Manganello from LEC available by Zoom. Mark did the survey, wetlands delineation survey of the property. He was out there in April earlier this year, last year, and in the fall, roughly in October. So Mark's very familiar with the site, and I'll let him explain the wetlands resources as he's delineated them. But in short, we have several resources out there. We have the town river and Willowbrook, where they converge back here at that point. We have also the mean bank delineated by flagging. We have the BVW to both of the rivers, to the brook and the river. We have two isolated vegetated wetlands, approximately in the middle of the property. And we also have border and land subject to flooding, as delineated by elevation 49. And that's a FEMA base flood elevation. There are a few remaining existing structures on the property. We've located sizable trees on the property. Those are shown on the plan, as well as the abutters, both adjacent and opposite the existing streets. At this time, I'd like to let Mark Manganello explain in detail his wetlands delineation.
You're on, Mark. Speaker is on. Can you hear me, Mark? I'm going to stop sharing here.
There he is.
Mark, can you hear me? Guess not. He can't, doesn't seem like he can hear us.
John, you're on mute.
Hear you?
I think. Is that you?
Can you hear me, Mark?
No, I can just now.
Okay.
No, we know.
All right, so Walter has described the process and he's turning it over to you. Let me start sharing the plan.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
All right, I'm sharing the plan, and Walter has indicated that you can explain some of the procedures you used.
Yes, I can. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't able to hear what Walter was saying in his initial presentation, so I apologize if I'm being redundant. So I delineated this site in October over the course of a couple of days. There's bordering vegetated wetland out there associated with Town River and Willow Brook. That's the delineation that runs around the perimeter of the property, following the cursor there, yes. There's also 2 isolated wetlands located within the footprint of the former golf course operation. Flag both of those. These boundaries, especially the 2 isolated wetlands, but all of the boundaries in general are based on an analysis of vegetation, soils, and evidence of hydrology. There's also delineated bank to those 2 perennial streams, Town River and Willow Brook, sufficient to demarcate the extent of riverfront area on the property, which is also shown on the plans. And I also went to the site previously in April to take a look at the 2 isolated wetlands, just to be sure they weren't vernal pools, as we knew that would be important for permitting. So in my report, I provided a description of what I found then. I did not find any evidence of breeding vernal pool species in April. The wetland to the southeast had some water in it, about 12 inches average. There's one spot that's a little deeper than that where it looks like they were trying to pump water out of it at one point. And the other wetland to the northwest didn't have any water in it in mid-April. So based on what I saw out there, I didn't see any evidence of vernal pool breeding activity, and it was right in the heart of vernal pool season, so I think it's unlikely that either of those are vernal pools. The final resource area associated with the property is bordering land subject to flooding, which is also shown on the plan, which does cover a significant portion of the property, I believe up to elevation 49, if I have that correct. That's FEMA established, but it is a resource area. So that's kind of an overview of my work. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And just so everybody knows, we're just here to establish a wetland line and the area of flooding and the area just part of the Wetland Protection Act. So, John, do you have any comments?
No, I'm reviewed everything and been to the site, and I agree with Mark's analysis of the 2 isolated depressions. And so I'm recommending that you approve an ORAD that would indicate that the delineations as shown on the plan are accurate.
Anybody else? Any other questions, comments?
ORAD and AMRAD. Is it AMRAD or ORAD?
They're looking for an ANRAD, right, John?
So they file an ANRAD and then we issue an ORAD.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Questions, comments? All right. Hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
And I will entertain a motion to issue an ORAD for 44 South Main Street.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. Thank you very
We're all
much.
set.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen,
lot.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to the new
funsies.
Good times up there.
Yeah, I know. It's good while it lasted.
And next we have 7 Loop Drive for a notice of intent for a general stormwater management permit for construction of a duplex septic system and associated grading with a disturbance of greater than 15,000 square feet. And do we have anybody presenting for that one?
I don't see anyone here. Want to table it until...
We will table. That being said, I will do continued public hearings. We have 21 Lincoln Street.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's here, lurking out in the hall.
Yeah, she was out, yeah.
My name, I heard 21.
You're okay. You're right on time.
Need your stand?
Oh, I'll set it up for you.
Oh, thanks. So 21 Lincoln Street. Alan and Majors reviewed, I made changes. They reviewed, I made changes. They reviewed, I made changes. All right, as of Friday, I made changes. They reviewed this morning and didn't feel I cleaned up all of the housekeeping items that would satisfy the commission to make a vote. So, I'd like to go over some of those back and forth changes in the hopes that next week, we're just gonna come in, smile, and call it a day.
And all the housekeeping will be done.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. Dot your I, cross your T, you know, all that.
It's good
Oh.
to do that, though.
Inverts. It is.
It's not a little project, so.
And I'm sure we're still gonna find a few I's not dotted, T's not. Okay, so, some of the biggest concerns, can you see that?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Can you give me a
You bet,
little angle,
you bet, you
please?
bet, you bet.
Thank you, great.
So some of the biggest concerns that Alan and Angie had was groundwater. Groundwater. Okay, so Larry went out and did additional test pits. So he, at their request, did test pits in Basin 4, Basin 5, up here for a future, not our project, but we did it anyway, and all along in here. This was the big one. Okay, so we had test pits that, we had one anomalous test pit that had groundwater at 24 inches, and we had everything else at 36, 44, and then at one point Larry even went down to 160. So it was a very anomalous basin. So rather than trying to talk our way out of it, how this was an anomalous one, we made a change right here in the grading. And again, this was the biggest concern that they had, that's why I'm just focusing on this. And the other side.
I need to find anomalous for my...
It's a buried wetland, so as he was digging, he realized the second time around that he had uncovered fill when he was doing it the first time. So by doing multiple test bits along the axis here,
Yeah.
he was able to realize by the time he got over here in this additional one, he found buried wetland. So this is farmland that over time had been plowed and filled and plowed and
How
filled.
many test pits did they do before this?
So before this, we did 2, 3, and 4, and then he went back and did a 2A and a 3A. So the in-betweens to try to figure out where the anomaly was. So rather than try to, this was the anomaly. So 24 inches wasn't a really good indicator of groundwater. He found groundwater at 160 inches as well. So we reshaped the basin to provide the 2 foot of separation of groundwater in this area a little bit higher. And they were fine with that. They thought that satisfied the need to meet 2 foot separation of groundwater. I was able to rework all the magic of the pipes and the drainage and which way is it going and which way is it not going over and over again to satisfy them. I meet pre to post on all storm events. That was another little concern they had. You have this 2-year storm that's got a little number. All right, I fixed that little number. So that was the big thing. So we provided 2 foot separation of groundwater. It actually raised the piping. I had to separate which way the basins and the flow goes. It was fun. I had an intern. He never wants to see me again.
Well, now we know where the old skating pond was.
So basically you went around that problem.
Yeah, we solved the problem.
You
Yes.
went around it with pipes.
This isn't a pipe. This would just be, because it's infiltration basin, it's going to be a level, laid level.
But you went around that problem.
We went, and yes, we went around that problem. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Allen and Major's
Yep.
concerns.
Yep.
Okay.
And as of this afternoon, their email came back, well, we haven't seen you clean up all your housekeeping. I said, yep, I haven't. But otherwise, they agree with the approach that we did to rectify.
So you figure there's not gonna be any water going into that area there?
Into here?
Yes.
No, this is higher, so,
So I know, but I mean, you figure there's not gonna be any water going into that
no, it's
in the
another,
future?
it's another foot higher.
So you figure there's not gonna be any water going into that into the future?
I guess I'm concerned.
Overflowing, you mean?
No, it's going to be like a speed table. It's going to be mounded. That whole level will be 1 foot higher than the rest of the basin. So as the water builds up in height, at some point it will use that. But it's providing the 2 foot separation to groundwater needed for water quality
Okay.
was their concern.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
I
just
do
didn't-
expect it
I
to
wasn't too
raise
sure
up.
If it was just something like you raising up, just
No.
go around and.
no.
Not expecting
No,
something.
as it goes up at the higher stages, the 50 and the 100, it will see water over it. But it's the water quality being provided with the 2 foot separation that
Yeah.
satisfies them. I could tell you all kinds of other stories of what I did, but it'll bore you to death.
Now, I know you didn't necessarily have to because it's not part of your project, but the test pits that were done up along
front?
the roadway.
Yep,
um,
we did them as well. I don't think I have them on this sheet, but we did. Groundwater at 68 inches, groundwater at 30 inches. We did provide it to those that asked us for it.
John, do you have anything? Comments so far?
No, I've been following the back and forth, and it appears that they're really working thoroughly through this whole. It's a major project, so I can understand why.
Another comment
Can
that
we go
came.
back one page?
Well, while I have
Go
the thought
ahead.
in my head,
Yeah.
one other comment that came back, and it wasn't Allen and Major, it was through the MEPA process, that they wanted this 6-inch culvert, which is a farm ditch culvert. Right now it's 6 inches CMP. We had upgraded it before to a 24 or 212 inch. I can't remember now because I changed it. It's now a 4x6 box culvert. So I really upped the ante here to meet stream crossings, even though it doesn't technically qualify, but we did it because, yes.
Project this size, it's easier than...
It's just as easy, yep. It doesn't qualify as a stream intermittent, but they still feel that this, for some reason, is navigable. We now have to demonstrate that this is not a navigable stream.
But basically, the layout is the same of the buildings, and
Oh yeah, the building hasn't moved,
that's the same.
hasn't moved.
And you didn't have to change elevation, it was just elevation of pipes
It
and...
was just elevation of pipes, yeah. The surface didn't change. The catch basin locations didn't even change. I just changed the inverts and which way the pipes were directed.
Anybody in the audience, any questions, comments, concerns?
I just want to make
Yep.
sure, I've been switching back and forth for plans for the at-home
yes.
audience. And
Do you,
that area that you just discussed,
Yeah, you don't
Rebecca,
have
in
that.
this area,
oh yes, the box culvert, yep.
that box culvert is to allow the
It's to meet.
drainage ditch that runs north and south.
They wanted to, MEPA wanted it to meet stream crossing guidelines, and so you have a critter factor, so it had to be big enough to allow,
That, well, I was wondering if it was...
it meets the ratio for openness.
Get the turtles through.
Not critter, it's openness. So, yes. So the longer it is, they don't crawl through the dark long, so it's shorter, it's bigger, it's boxier, open.
Yeah.
It's open, bright, and turtles will love it.
So it sounds like you're making some good progress.
Yes, housekeeping should be all we have left. So,
And just so that they understand what housekeeping is, it's
yeah, I missed an
dotting the
invert.
T's, dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Yeah.
Making sure the legend is right.
Yes.
Making sure the
Making
report.
sure the Excel spreadsheet that's 3 pages and 4 pages long now matches everything
Yeah.
here, making sure my HydroCAD, which is
Yeah.
a nice little coffee table book, matches what I have here. It's really easy to miss a tenth of a digit somewhere.
What's after this?
Hello,
What's-
I have, excuse
Yep. Questions?
Hi, I'm sorry. My name is Lisa Ames. I'm one of the abutters to the land. I'm having a lot of difficulty hearing the audio. Sounds very muffled.
I'll speak louder.
Okay, do you have any specific questions or something you might like to hear more about? We can move that closer that way.
Hi, are you addressing me?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Oh.
I do have questions. It was, and actually, I think my husband will actually ask them. It was listed as a warehouse office building, that's the barn.
Oh, wait, this isn't 62 Union Street, this is 21 Lincoln Street.
62 Union Street.
We're talking
Okay,
about...
we're on Lincoln Street.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
But I knew what she was talking about.
Thanks, sorry.
That's okay, you're fine.
How is the audio now?
Was that a little bit better?
That is a little bit better, thank you so much.
Okay.
I was curious, once this part is approved, what's the next step?
Well, we have to finish the MIPA process, which
Yeah.
is another submittal once we finish here. But as far as our part, I think this was the last hurdle.
Now, if there's no MIPA changes, or let's do it the other way. If there are MIPA changes, do you have to come back to us?
If
Yes.
they're in the buffer
Okay.
and they're significant, we will have to come back, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but if the commission eventually issues a order of conditions that allows the project and MIPA's okay with it, they go for building permits.
Okay.
Okay. That's kind of what I was
Yeah,
trying.
that's,
Yeah.
So,
Any other
Come a
questions,
long way.
concerns? Yes.
and I'm not familiar with the MIPA process myself, so do they normally wait for the local conservation commissions to finish their work before they go?
No, it's
Or-
it's been happening.
Right, but I mean, before they make a decision?
Um,
Or is it just timing that we're first up and they're second up,
Yeah, I
or?
thought
It-
you have to go to them first.
It was tandem.
No, they will issue a permit, but it is incumbent upon them to satisfy, them being the applicant, to satisfy the commission. So
Okay.
they're looking at the big scale, we're looking at the small scale. They're not worried about inverts and that kind of thing,
Okay.
Right.
parking
So they
radiuses.
asked DEP, have you heard from the applicant in the buffer? DEP's response is, well, the culvert and stuff like that, and then once they issue the order. That's what they're waiting for, to see that the local commission is okay, and then they move on to everyone else. Yes.
so we're now gonna wait till you finish up your detail work and then.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
So Allen and Major should be able to, if they're satisfied, issue us before the next meeting a letter saying that they're satisfied.
Good.
And then the commission can ask any final questions, and then you'll close
Ask
it
them now
and
so I
then
can make the
issue.
changes.
Okay.
But you think you'll be able to get those
Yes.
all done for the
There wasn't a
first-
lot. It really
Okay.
wasn't. We had gone through most of the housekeeping last time.
All right.
Okay.
And a lot of it is the drainage, like delineation, things that normal people won't look at. I mean, the contractor won't even look at. It's just to button up the final package.
They're still working on the street, which has nothing to do with you.
No,
but-
they're still working on it.
It sort of does, because it requires a stormwater permit for the street, and I believe that hasn't started yet.
Hasn't even started.
Right. So you might want to talk to your client and whoever's in charge of that
I
portion.
believe McMahon would be doing that part of it, but
You
I'll
better give
remind them.
Better give them a heads up.
I know that we are proposing the water line now into what is the middle. Before it was coming in over here, so now the water line is going this way, and now there's the sidewalk, and it's going under the. There's a lot of coordination on that end.
Yeah. Probably be better to have that one done before you start breaking all kinds of ground, and or at least have the
Well,
process started.
This has a lot of earth-moving activities that would like to
bet.
start in the spring,
Yeah.
regardless of a road.
Yeah.
Worked out. It's going to happen. Just a matter of.
Does anybody else in the audience have questions? Anybody else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue to February 1st, I believe.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
And hopefully, we'll be able to complete.
That would be great. I mean, not that I don't
We
enjoy
just
it.
have
These
another
long.
project, so.
Always.
All right, next we have 62 Union Street. Do we have anybody here for that?
Me.
Okay. And this is a continued public hearing for a general stormwater permit. And you're up.
All right, this one has a story. You ready for a story?
Sure.
All right, so let's do the neighborhood one. 62 Union. Our client came to us hoping for a buildable duplex lot. So the first thing we were entertaining to do was to do a on-the-ground survey. And what we found was the mortgage and the compiled plan of land for this property listed it at 1.33 acres, which is less than the 60,000 needed. But when you draw up the math for the plan, you actually get 60,322 square feet. So right off the bat, the compiled plan of land was actually 1.38 acres instead of 1.33 acres. So the first hurdle we had to do was demonstrate that we actually have a duplex lot. So we went, provided the client with the plan. He's got over 60,000. We went and did an on-the-ground survey. We located and tied it into evidence all around Orchard Street and Union Street. And in fact, by the time we did...
I hate to interrupt, but it's
Oh.
very, I'm having very difficult time hearing what you're saying. I'm so sorry.
I don't want to yell.
I agree, it's not just her either.
Can you turn this up?
So it's this right here.
That's what we're doing?
Yeah, the little
With your
mic.
microphone, I'm picking up
Why is
like
it not
every
this?
other word.
That's the one for the
Sounds very
town's.
muffled.
Give me that.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe turn the screen towards the presenter, because it's probably directional.
So after we did an on-the-ground survey, we actually found out the compiled plan of land that showed the 1.38 acres, the 60,322 square feet, is actually 60,160. He's got the better plan up there. So let me do that. All right. So it ended up being 60,160 by the time we looked at all the neighbors and threw in all the deeds.
They hear you.
You can hear me now, right? Zoom, can you
Yes, I can hear you better. Yes, I'm just
Okay.
trying to understand what you're saying. So are you saying that originally you thought the lot was smaller than it was?
The deed referenced a compiled plan of land that showed 1.33 acres, which is roughly 57,000 square feet. Which is less than the requirements for a duplex lot. So after we did the survey and drew up the plan with the deeds around it, we ended up with 60,160 square feet. Just enough to have a duplex lot, to qualify for a duplex lot. So once we did that, we ended up doing percolation tests with the Board of Health. They were witnessed. We had to do for 2 systems. We've designed 2 systems, one for each of the units. We've had it approved by the Board of Health since we had more time. And so there's no more issues with the Board of Health, except they would like to see a 2-compartment septic tank. They were fine with the plan as you see it here in front of you. So then we come to Stormwater Permit, and here we are. We now have the roof recharge requirement for the new roof. We have an erosion sedimentation control line all around. We have a second page full of details, including a dewatering pit, a standard construction entrance, and those are the key points, the erosion control notes. So the applicant wishes to keep the barn in the back. Oh, which reminds me. So we weren't here last time because the notification to abutters didn't go out. And then we sent out the notification to abutters, and it was mislabeled as a warehouse unit. It was a copy and paste error. notifications were corrected immediately and sent out saying that this was for a duplex. So that would be the confusion that happened earlier.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a duplex.
This is a
not a warehouse.
So, can I ask a question regarding the stormwater? Like, we have an issue with the end of the street, that entrance to Orchard Drive. There's been often flooding. So I'm kind of concerned with having two more buildings, and there's one building there, but adding two buildings, two septic, because it's going to change the water levels. And we are directly in back of the builder. Like, we could end up with water issues in our yard. And originally on the street, that area right where our land abuts his land, we are 11 Orchard Drive, that area, there was that was supposed to be left as is, because it was the drainage that went down toward the end of Orchard Drive, down toward, well, like toward Elizabeth, that end. There used to be a big drainage pit there. So I'm kind of concerned about the drainage issues, and the fact that in front of, just as you enter Orchard Drive, about, was it maybe 7 Orchard Drive, the Kincaid, a lot of times there might be flooding in the street. So now you're going to add another 2 buildings. It's a little concerning. Have they addressed that?
So we're not disturbing the existing drainage easement that is along the back, along the Orchard subdivision, and the easements still do exist and will remain. There's one building which is smaller than, I believe, most of these houses in the neighborhood, and the existing barn. So we're not adding more impervious. It's equivalent to what the existing dwelling was. With the roof recharge, in fact, we're reducing the amount that actually gets onto the surfaces because it's going into the ground first. So I believe that would address most of the stormwater concerns.
How?
Are you taking the house that is here now, the building that's there now, and making that into a duplex, or are you adding a duplex onto the land?
The existing dwelling would be removed and a new duplex unit would be added.
And it would be the same size as the existing dwelling?
A different shape, about the same square footage.
Can you go over again, because when you were speaking last time, it kept getting cut in and cut out. I had a difficulty understanding it. Can you explain again how there wasn't enough land for duplex and now all of a sudden there is? How did that work again?
No, I think originally, so he's going to take the existing building, are you saying, and he's going to bulldoze that down, raise that down, and he's going to build a duplex there. Is that, and the existing barn is going to stay, but nothing will be added onto the barn, is that correct?
That's my understanding. Yep, that's how I understand it. And back to the other comment, it was a typo on the plan before. The previous plan that was done for this lot had a typo. That's the easy answer. And
the deed referenced a smaller parcel of land than what was actually there when you surveyed it. Right. That's the real problem.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Which happens all the time when deeds get recorded.
That's an old deed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the existing barn is not, it's okay, because that concerned, that's when it said warehouse, obviously that was a
right, that was a typo.
That was a typo,
probably
yes.
Because the Lincoln Street one, that sounds, that's fair. But so the barn will be staying as is. And will there be, so the barn, the existing house will be changed into a duplex with, essentially the same square footage, let's say. And will there be anything else built, or is that it?
A driveway, an extra driveway.
Yeah.
But no other building?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, that was my question.
The change in elevation.
And it should not be probably anything built onto the barn. It's probably just okay.
That's up to the...
Those are my questions. I don't know if any of the other neighbors have questions. Is anything else going on to the side lawn? Is there a plan for anything else, like a paved or a business going in there, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's a residential area.
I don't believe it's zoned for business.
I don't believe it's zoned for business.
Very good.
So
I got a question. Is this like a rental property or like a condominium situation?
A condominium.
It'll be a condominium.
Owner occupied.
Owner-occupied condominium.
Thank you.
Okay, getting back to the stormwater stuff we have to deal with, how much of a change in elevation will there be from current to finished?
95, 90, 98, it's about the same.
And, John, are we gonna deal with the runoff of the driveways towards the road if there is?
Yes, there will be some runoff towards the street. It's very gentle slope. So I would say that other than the existing driveway that currently flows to the Union Street, that with the roof recharge systems, that it's probably going to compensate for that.
Or any, okay. That was my only concern, was where we have people complaining that the roads already have bad drainage. Just making sure
Hi, I
we're
have a
not.
question. Again, if I may speak, let me know if I'm sorry. I don't mean.
No, go ahead. What have you got?
Is there a reason why he does not intend to center the duplex in the lot?
Would you like me to answer that? Because that's where the existing building was. It's just easy to put it back where it was. All the utilities are already there.
I'll just be honest. My concern is that he's going to try to build another building on the sidewalk.
He doesn't have enough frontage.
There's not enough room, and it's,
So he will not be, my concern is that he's going to do the duplex, then he's going to try to put another duplex on and have like.
Only way he can do that is to go before the zoning board of appeals and get a zoning variance.
And you'd be notified.
There's not enough room.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
To get a
Yeah.
variance.
He'd have to go before the, if he was to do that, he'd have to go before the zoning board of appeals for a zoning variance, and you would be notified, because there's not enough land to do that.
And what would happen in a case like that?
It'd be up to the zoning board if he was to apply for it.
Which I doubt would happen.
I doubt it would happen. I mean, it's.
He has the land, but he's not centering it, so it concerns me that he's, going to build a bunch of duplexes back there, which is really then going to change the water levels.
No, I doubt that'll happen because there's not enough room, and I doubt the zoning board will even approve that.
and he's building it there
Okay.
because that's
Yeah.
where the existing house
And
is.
it's going there because the other building has been there.
Right, it's just a lot easier to work with disturbed area that's already been packed and ready to build another house lot on it.
Just building a new house on the same old house lot.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm just being thinking in the future and being cautious of the situation.
Okay, I'll ask John, do you have,
Don't need any more flooding. Okay.
yep. John, do you have any comments,
Thank
questions?
you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's okay.
I don't have any issue with it.
All right, anybody else?
Tim?
Yep,
Tim, I have a question.
yep.
This is Carol. On the minutes, it says, so they're asking for a stormwater permit, construction of a duplex, a new septic system, and associate site grading which disturbs more than 15,000 square feet of existing conditions. What does that last part mean? And is that okay to do that?
So, Carol, can you hear me?
Yes.
So the 15,000 square feet is the threshold for a general stormwater permit, which requires the public hearing.
Okay.
So any disturbance that's less than 15,000 square feet, but more than 5,000, so let's say between 5,000 and 15, is an administrative permit which is handled by the office without a public hearing. So we still give them conditions to follow, but it doesn't require public hearing and notification of abutters. Since they are disturbing more than 15,000, we have the public hearing, abutters get notified, and the commission can put additional conditions on it that I don't even think of.
May I ask why, when you get to 15,000, you have to notify the abutters and have a public hearing? What is the why when you reach that amount do you have to notify people?
It's just a threshold number, and 15,000 square feet is equivalent to what you're seeing on this project. So it requires a general stormwater permit where everybody can talk about it instead of just the staff at the Conservation Commission.
Is that because we might have concerns about the drainage? Is that why?
So it allows you as an abutter, because you're notified and you can join the public hearing, to raise your concerns and maybe bring to light certain things that the commission might not be aware of.
Okay.
So it just opens up the process so that it has more eyes on it. It allows more input from the public.
So if it were under 15,
Eileen, did you have a question?
wouldn't even be here.
Right.
I
considered
actually
minor
have a question
project.
about the septic system itself. Is the design of the septic system, is it going to be a raised system, or is that something that's to be determined?
System looks like it's pretty much at the level that's there, maybe a foot more at the most.
Right, so 96, about 2 feet, a little bit,
Yeah,
little bit higher.
97, it looks like 98, it's gonna be just about to the same height.
So one person's saying it's going to be a little higher, one person's saying it's going to be the same height.
It's gonna be about 1 foot higher in elevation than what's currently there, where the septic system is.
And where in the property is that going to be put in, behind the duplex?
Yes.
I'm assuming that's gonna be.
And what about the drainage from that extra
grass, right?
foot?
It's gonna be between the barn and the proposed duplex.
It'll be part of the yard. It'll be like grass put over it, so you won't even really notice it.
We did add a side
So just to
swale.
be clear, the second letter that was sent out about adding on to the existing office warehouse storage building, that was an error?
The first one that said it was an office warehouse addition is wrong. The second one went out saying it was a duplex.
Okay, thank you.
I have a copy of it if you want it.
System that was there before, that was just like an old test pit. I mean,
Cesspool?
cesspool.
No, it was a system,
Oh, was the
I
system?
have,
surprisingly.
the,
Okay, any other commissioners, comments, questions?
None.
None?
I have a question. I don't know if you even know the answer. This is Lisa Ames again. He's obviously the duplex and it's going to be owner occupied. What happens with the barn? I mean, he's not selling it as one piece. And
No, the
duplexes
barn's staying
usually own the land.
to be used by the owners.
Own the
Owner will
land.
occupy the barn.
So, I know he does construction, and he's made the barn almost into like a big garage, and he has a lot of heavy equipment there. He also has an awful lot of junk in the back. He has a lot of junk behind the barn, and I'm concerned that it's, I don't want this to be like, he still owns the land, obviously, and he's got this barn that he's made into a garage for his, building equipment, for his heavy construction equipment, and there's all kinds of junk back there. I mean, it could be dangerous, and you can't.
That's really not under ours, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well, I don't.
not under our jurisdiction, I mean, and it's,
That's my concern.
he can't run a business
Yeah.
out of there, but if he's got it for his private use, he can have whatever toys he wants to play with.
Can I comment on that?
Yep.
There's one machine there, and that's the excavator to tear the building down. There's a dump trailer in the back, and the house is covered in aluminum.
Yep.
The pile is aluminum that's in the back that we tore off the barn. And that barn is actually about 24 feet shorter than the way it was when I got there, because somebody had put an addition, like a roof with sides on it for the horses to go under, and it was all, you couldn't see it originally because the trees were covering the barn. So we removed that because it was a hazard, and then that's the original barn there before the addition. And the scrap that she sees there now is, we've removed about 5 loads of metal out of the property that was in the grass and in the weeds and everything else that was on the property. So that, and I've also removed.
Well, maybe it's just more visible now, maybe?
Yeah, now that,
And I removed 4 trailer loads of debris from the neighbors in back of me, putting their debris onto my property.
Are you the owner?
So at this point, as
You are the
you're
owner?
cleaning it up, as the project
Okay,
goes on.
no, and I very much appreciate that. And it's probably just, it's more visible, and it's just, you know, of course, we're just concerned to have kids in the backyard and anything that anyone could get into. So, and I appreciate that you're cleaning that up and that it's going to get cleaned up. Thank you.
All right. Anything else related to the stormwater? Right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for addressing my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
I have a question.
Yep.
First, my question is on the first notice that was sent out regarding the addition to the office, warehouse, storage building. Who made that mistake?
The Office of Silver Engineering.
Okay, can I have it on the record that it's not an office, warehouse, storage building?
That's not what we have the file for. So it's.
So just to alleviate your concerns, this is a conservation agent speaking. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so it was advertised in the newspaper that it was to be a duplex and septic system and not a warehouse. So the engineering firm is required to send out an additional notice when they notify you as abutters what the project is, and they made a mistake in labeling it as one of their other projects, because as you know, most people take their Word document and just doctor it up for the next project. And that's what happened. So they corrected it by sending out another notice to all the abutters by regular mail that it was for the duplex as it was advertised in the paper.
And we had a nice big
I just wanted on the
correction.
record just to make sure it's on there.
And if they don't comply with what we're approving, which is the duplex and the septic, and all of a sudden start doing something else, there'll be enforcement action taken against them.
Yep, understood.
Eric, did you get the second notice? Because we did not get the second notice. So I just want to make sure that someone else did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion to issue a general stormwater permit.
I'll make that motion.
Moved and seconded to issue a general stormwater permit. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
You are all set. Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks, right?
Is there a way of finding out who the abutters were that
Yeah,
were
with the fact of the
at issue?
question, everything that's.
Because I didn't already have this with names, the people that
No, will
discussed.
there be any utilities in there?
That's who was on there.
No. What's the next? We have 7 Luke Drive,
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, no, he wasn't. This guy was.
and
This guy was what?
somebody here for that one.
It's anyone from the remote participation representing 7 Luke Drive? Hearing none, I would recommend that we continue both the notice of intent and the certificate of compliance.
I'll entertain a motion to continue both the notice and the certificate.
Make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next, we have 373 Crescent Street, request for a certificate of compliance.
I had anticipated that they would have everything finished. They did not, so we're going to have to continue it to the next meeting.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Continue.
Moved and seconded to continue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. And next we have Luke Estate, 50-foot buffer fencing for completion of the certificate of compliance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Continue that one, right?
What I'm here for tonight is along the 50-foot buffer, we were supposed to put a white vinyl fence. I have people that are living there and myself questioning the practicability of doing that and proposing an alternative to perhaps using like a 4x4 pressure treated post at a whatever distance the agent would like with one of the signs mounted to that post. Every 30 feet, 40 feet, I don't know, what are we usually doing now, John?
No more than 30 feet apart.
Okay, so do them every 30 feet, and it would just aesthetically look better. And
Why did we want a vinyl?
I don't know.
So,
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
if I could just refresh everybody's memory, Luke Estates was the subdivision where probably 2 more lots were fit in than should have been put in order to make the lots useful for the abutters in terms of the normal things that people want in their backyards. So the commission wanted to protect the 50-foot buffer, feeling that they were going to encroach, they being the future owners, as they moved in and wanted to use their yards like normal residents do in town. So the commission at that time wanted a barrier that would prevent that type of thing from happening. The people moved in. Some of them came to the commission not happy with the idea of putting up a white vinyl fence.
I remember now.
And so the commission started thinking about different alternatives. And at the meeting where the president of the homeowners association came in, after a lot of discussion of various ideas, suggested that the individual owners would come in separately with a plan that they could be held to. Now, what is the problem for Al is he's the original developer, is he's obligated to do this as part of his finishing off the subdivision. And he can't be going in and trying to satisfy each one of the neighbors.
Right.
So he's asking for us to come up with something that the commission would be comfortable with.
Do it all.
Do it all, and if the neighbors destroy it, for example, because they don't like it. So say you said the final vinyl fence is the only thing you're going to accept, and they don't like it after he's put it in, then the enforcement action would be against them, and they'd have to come in and speak with the commission and come up with something that would satisfy you. He's trying to avoid that. He's just trying to get the thing done. So he
want to finish it, close it.
Well,
you guys
post and rail, which is what we suggested to the owners.
Problem with the post and rail is the lifespan of it.
They'd have to replace it.
No, I know, but we've done them. We've done them before. You know, like a wood post and rail. You're saying
Well,
like a
we
split
have
rail.
composite now too, right?
Well, composite's not an alternative because composite would be, it's cost prohibitive.
It is.
Yeah, it's wicked. And we're not talking about a couple sections
We
of
have
fencing.
where I live, Al.
Yeah.
We had an original post and rail. It lasted 12 years.
12 years, okay.
14 years. And the understanding was we would replace it. That's just the way it is.
The reality is that nobody's going to go beyond the way it's all worked out. There's if they're going to
You
go
tell us that now,
Well, say that.
3 owners from now, all of a sudden they've gone way beyond that.
No, I don't dispute that. But if you have a marker every 30 feet, then it's
I'd be
pretty
willing
hard
to say every 15 or 20 feet a marker. If they don't want a fence.
They were all in, and they said, well, we want the view.
You want to do them every 20? I don't have a problem with that. 20, 25 feet to a post with a marker.
I mean, the corners, and then I'm just looking at one of them. That if there was, I don't know. I understand part of the situation, but
I think the markers, depending on what they put in, it's probably going to be easier for them to take out and oops, accidentally.
I'm saying a 4x4.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a
pressure-treated
4x4
post.
pressure-treated post.
Okay.
And if you did them every 25 feet, yeah, you might take this one out. You're gonna
Put them in right, it's gonna be a little work to
if
pull one of those
you
out.
took them all out too. I mean,
True.
So I think it would be a little bit obvious. I don't think it would be a unanimous neighborhood decision. Let's take them all out.
I mean, that's what we wanted, and now everyone,
Right. I mean,
they don't want that.
Something's going to have to go there. I like your idea. Just do it all.
Right. I mean, I wanted.
Then
Yeah,
if
what
they
if
decide to
could
want to
get-
say, hey, I don't like the white come in front of us and say, hey, we'll take this down and we'll replace it to what we want.
And then the commission can hold
And
them
that's
to
it.
it.
You're done with what
You're
you have to
done.
do. You don't have to
But
worry about it.
you don't think the post would be, I'm just thinking from a practical standpoint and aesthetically.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, say if you put in post, whatever, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And if they don't like it later
Right,
on,
right.
oh, we want to put the,
Post and rail, you
your
mean?
post, or whatever.
Well, I was thinking of every 25 feet, put a post, 4x4 post with the
Oh,
sign.
you mean, not the whole fence?
No.
No, put a post with a sign.
If the commission.
This one already come in with a fence around the pool, so.
Yeah, I mean,
So some of them are going to be putting in pools, and those will have a regular fence that's associated with the pool safety
Yeah.
regulations.
Yeah.
But then beyond those is what we're talking about, and that's how it was set up, that
Yeah.
any pools would have a regular fence.
But I'm
and then-
thinking, like, if they put a pool in, most of the backyard's gonna be used, and they'd be like, oh, we wanna go a little bit farther to.
Right, and that's why when they come for the
Lawn.
pool, they're gonna have to file, and that's why we require the fence.
Yeah. They get somebody out there putting in a pool, they might accidentally, oh, just rip those out. I don't know, I'm just saying.
I'm in favor of just,
I would like to see a fence put up.
you know,
Put it up.
So let's
Go
do, how
at
about
it.
we do a post and rail as a compromise?
I
Do
would
that?
like that.
Post rail fence.
Yeah, post and rail fence.
Yeah, just do it.
Split rail fence,
Then if
post
they
and rail,
don't
whatever.
like it, they can come in front of
Something
us.
that's a little more aesthetic, I mean.
That's very
we
aesthetic.
We're here under the guise of conservation, and we put this white vinyl
Yeah.
fence up, it's just like,
Did we-
Yeah.
did
and
we
all due
order a
respect to the
white
neighbors, they
fence?
did nice, there's nice houses there.
I think
they took care of the yards.
I think it said that a composite material, not
It
necessarily.
said post and rail, I believe, in the order.
But I think we said,
I think it did.
something
Okay.
aesthetic, just to put it in.
Yeah.
And if
I
they don't
think
like
it
it later
looked
on,
nice.
they can
Fine.
come in front of us.
That's what
And
we'll
if
do.
they come back,
That's what I'm thinking.
Get some 12 to 14
that'll be
years.
up to them.
Yep.
Yeah, and if they don't wanna last a year, then that's it, that's up to them. So,
Okay,
But
so
you'll be
we'll do
out.
that,
I don't know,
no
I'm thinking,
problem.
that's my opinion, I don't know if anybody else, how they feel?
Any comments from
Tom,
any other commissioners?
Carol?
Let
Steve,
me just ask a clarification question, a couple of them, actually. So this fence we're talking about, is it both a boundary marker and a fencing
No.
No, it was-
Just a 50-foot
of
buffer.
the house? I don't quite,
It was just to
what,
delineate where the wetland was.
what?
To delineate where the wetlands were.
50-foot.
The 50-foot buffer.
So it seems like we should be putting in the best thing that delineates this in terms of conservation.
Yes, that helps,
I don't know what.
that helps define it
what that
better,
is
yes,
to be.
Right, to make it a permanent definition
so
that,
they understand,
Exactly.
yes.
So a post and rail, if
Yep.
we're starting to zero in, whatever fence is still going to require the medallion
Markers,
saying
yeah.
protected wetland.
Yeah.
Right, that's no problem.
but the post and rail with the markers, and that seems to be.
I can understand more, a little more aesthetic
Yep,
for it, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Fine.
Okay.
We want to get it done, get our
Sure.
certificate of compliance. And
You want to
How's the
use that as a
other- how's the
minor
other
project
one
change?
coming?
Going
Yeah.
good, we got the lots released, we should be starting some foundations next week. So,
And I'll entertain a motion, we consider it a minor project change to require post and rail and markers.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
now,
Aye.
you have to put something in it saying that if the homeowners do not like what they see,
They can come to us if they want.
6 months down the road,
Apply.
they
change
have to
it.
come in front of us, no matter what.
they have no choice.
They would have.
I
to.
understand they have no choice, but if we have it put as a condition,
Yeah, I can send out a notice
Okay.
that you're doing a minor project change for that particular file number,
and they
And
have
that-
to come in front of us.
that if they have any issues, they come before us.
Well, even if they, yeah, okay,
And if they want to
change.
put something else, then
Yeah.
you'll entertain that.
Okay.
Does that sound good? All right, let's do it that way.
Okay, all right, thank
Thank
you. for your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great night.
All right, any invoices, John?
Yes, no, we have no invoices.
We have no invoices, then any other business?
We have a signature for the ORAD on 44 South Main Street, the first one we heard. And I had one for the order of conditions for the drive, but they didn't show up, so we'll do another one sometime.
All right, then I will, if nobody has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Enjoy Colorado.